I think there's going to be some mosquitoes right now.
Try that shaker spray. Goes off.
Show you when you get to El Fiore. D-E-L.
D-E-L. Rick?
Yes.
Right on here.
3 of us.
Okay, come on in.
Thank you.
Last name?
After Charlie's gonna be talking to you and telling you cool stuff on the lake. I'm gonna crank it up. We're gonna get going right away so we can get you in the full hour. And also, as we're backing out here, Charlie's gonna give you a spiel on the safety tips of the boat. I ask you please pay close attention to that. Coast Guard requires us to tell you about safety stuff. So, all right? Thank you. I'm gonna get us going.
How's everybody doing?
Thanks, Dad. Don't lose the manifest.
Who's the first time in Yellowstone? Ooh, cool. I can pretty much say what I want to. You guys won't know. I'm just gonna make up stuff. See how it goes. But before we get going too far, before I do the safety thing, I would like to point out this boat here. It's our backcountry boat. It's called the Otter. And once we back out a little bit, just look into the sun, you'll see a bunch of boats over there. And they are gill net fishing boats, and they're here from Bailey's Harbor, Wisconsin. And their sole purpose here is to kill all the lake trout they could possibly kill. And it sounds like a lot of fun. These guys don't eat, they don't sleep. All they do is smoke cigars and kill fish. Which I'm kidding. That's a good point. Sounds fun, huh? Yeah. But I like the eating part. Bridge Bay Marina. Very good. Of course, that's the number one wrong answer. Actually, it's from Natural Bridge, which is, if you go across this bridge, first little pull out on the right, Bridge Creek, and it goes through the woods there, comes out in the back part of the marina. So, I tell people, if you go out there, carry some bear spray and bug spray. Just don't get the two confused. So that does happen on occasion. A couple of weeks ago up in Canyon, this group was going hiking, and the lady was just drifted right on. Yeah, surfing. And then by the time we started to go that way, that's probably going to be kind of trouble to kind of slow down. By the time we went around the island, it was back in the early days. The first manager of the hotel thought that when people were doing stagecoach tours of the park, when they got to this area, they'd want to get out on the lake like we do. So they had a bunch of rowboats that they rented out, and they were all made of wood, of course. And in the wintertime, the lake bridge is up to almost 3 feet thick. So they'd have to take the boats out, put them in the boat houses, and there's a chimney on the right side of each building. And they would build fires in there and get the boats really good and warm and dried out, and that way they'd be ready for the next spring. So, and they still use them. Park Service uses them. There's another little small building, which is old fish hatchery. It's kind of a 3-part fish story. Back in the early days, they thought that the native cutthroat trout was so plentiful and popular that it was shared with the rest of the world. So they hatched out over 800 million small cutthroat fingerlings and shipped them all over the world. And that went on for many years, and then they decided by taking all this out of the lake and nothing going back in to replace it, maybe the population of cutthroat was going away. So they shut it down in 1957, and now it's just storage for the old aquariums and stuff like that. And someday the Park Service is going to open it up for like a little museum for visitors. But knowing the Park Service, that'll be in the year 25. It's picture on windows, that is the Lake Clinic. I like to point it out just in case you're going to be around the area for a day or so. And if you get sick or injured, you can go there and it will take care of it. Garden, Montana, West Yellowstone, or Cody, Wyoming. So, it was just a plain, flat front building, no character to it all at all, just a boring looking building, kind of like our
Still down.
like our captain up here. No character at all.
Still boring.
There happened to be a young architect in the park about that time. Has anybody heard the name of Robert Reamer? Was anybody seen the Old Faithful building?
Yeah.
He designed the Old Faithful building, so when he got through with it, they brought him up here to make this place look a little more presentable. So he added the second third to the right, added the three-pointed roof lines, the white columns, and the sunroom off to the left over there, ground level. Made it look really, really nice, Southern colonial style. But then a few years later, Robert Freeman came back and added the right half of the hotel. And we're thinking maybe by then he done lost his architect license.
I agree.
We call them something.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was not, 2016, the company we work for, Xantier, spent $28 million on the hotel. They painted it on I don't know how long. It was during this time of season, and a lot of pollen was all over the lake. It was almost solid yellow. People would say, "What's this yellow in the lake?"
Yes.
We went there Monday night, and they done it. It was absolute joy here today. So, if you get a chance, go there and check them out. They're really, really cool. And actually, for the first time ever, we was talking to the guys when they took a break. And he came over, we was talking to us, and he said, "Oh yeah, you guys are the captains of the Queen and stuff like that." So he said, "When we start back, we'll play you guys a song." But if you get a chance, go there. It's really, really something else. And just look up just above the shoreline there, where the cars are parked. There's a wooden platform. Well, this is called Stevenson Island. Very cleverly named after a guy named James Stevenson. And he came out here in 1871 with the Hayden expedition to find out what this land was good for. They were the third expedition to come out here. The first two, mountain men, and they love this vegetation on the shoreline, which is willow, so they can come out here and stay all they want. And but actually, 20, was it 16 or 17? This saw the hill.
I think it was 16.
16 or 17. Actually, Captain Ken and us were out here with a group, and last trip of the day, late July, saw two elk standing in that little opening right there on the vegetation on the shoreline. And the rangers were having lake with a group. Somebody caught a really big fish, which was great. But they got back to the marina, they couldn't identify what type of fish it was because it was not a cutthroat. So they got somebody come check it out, found out it was a Mackinac lake trout from the Great Lakes, and which is not supposed to be in this lake. Somehow they done some studies and figured it out that from after they found the lake trout was in here, population of cutthroat was 100%, it dropped to 10%. The favorite food of the lake trout is the cutthroat. Cutthroat don't eat the lake trout eat the cutthroat. So, how they got in here, nobody really knows for sure. But personally, back when I think that somebody actually done it on purpose, but not knowing what they were doing. Well, back in the early days, the Army run the park. There was a couple of lakes around the area which had no fish in them, which was Shoshone Lake and Lewis Lake. And they stocked those lakes with the Mackinac lake trout for sports fishing. And it done a really good job, brought in a lot of visitors. But those two lakes are on the western side of the Continental Divide. We're on the eastern side. There's no connecting river streams or run up the Continental Divide, run over here and jump into this lake. So I think somebody wanted to fish the Yellowstone. I like to fish the Yellowstone, but the cutthroat was not quite big enough for them. So they go over there, catch up a bunch of lake trout, bring them over here and dump them in, not realizing the future effect it would have on the animals around here that depend on the fish for a food source. Like eagles, osprey, bears, otters, all these guys. What do you see? Oh, what's up, ducks? Don't ask me about ducks.
Oh, no, it's a bird that's diving.
Okay. Oh, that's a diving duck. Yeah, no.
Okay.
Somebody put the lake trout in here, not realize what they were doing. Like eagles, osprey, bears, all these guys, they like to eat the cutthroat because they're top water type fish. They swim around eating bugs off the surface. And when they get hungry for a cutthroat, all they can do is swoop down and grab them, or the bears reach in and grab them. Everybody's happy. But since the population dropped off to almost zero, they can't find the fish. Osprey has left the area except for maybe one or two nests because they're mainly fish eaters. If they can't find it, they go somewhere else. And the bears, when they come out of hibernation, they go down to streams and rivers. If they can't find the cutthroat, what do you think the bears are going to do? They're not going to leave. They're going to find another human. They go after little kids. Which I'm kidding. Actually, they go after newborn elk calves. Which it sounds kind of weird, but the decreased population of the cutthroat has an effect on the population of the elk. And in '95, when they discovered that fish was in here, that's about the time they reintroduced the wolves in the park. A lot of people will say the wolves were eating up on the elk. So they found out that it was not the elk, the wolves eating the elk, it was the bears. So whoever put them in here didn't realize what they were doing. So the animals that cutthroat, they are catch and release. And I've heard years ago, if you get caught with a cutthroat, it's $500 fine per fish. But I'm not sure. That's just what I heard. But since I've been here 2013, they've been averaging 350 to 450,000 lake trout per summer. Not per year, but just per summer. So as soon as the ice leaves the lake, which is usually late June or late May or early June, they put their boats in and start netting, and they don't stop until the ice starts to come back, which is mid to late December. So what the good news is, our fishing guys on these Grady White boats around here, they're catching much smaller lake trout than normal, and the cutthroat they're catching are getting much bigger. That they're netting out most of the lake trout, the larger ones, which is giving the cutthroat time to get to a mature size, but they're not being eaten. And last year, for the first time ever, they got less than 250,000 lake trout. So that means they're getting a lot of them out here. So I think the cutthroat's making a pretty good comeback. All right. Anybody have a question about anything?
I see a lot of people go fly fishing. What
Well, there's cutthroat in the rivers and hybrid type fish, but most of them is catch and release anyway. All right.
All rise. Now get out. Thank you all for coming. Hope you enjoyed the ride. What's your name?
Oh, whole herd. Here we go. Here's our herd, man.
There's the mother and the children, mostly female and the kid. Can quickly stop over here. Here we go. Come on, yeah. You want to get out? Yeah. I wanted to see if we can. I think that's fine. There's no male in this. It's all female and the children. Just stop over here, and yeah. Oh, so the baby, look at the baby, so look at cool. This car stopping here for Mommy, Mommy, what's going on? So cool. That would be so cool. Cool, a lot. What's he? Oh, they're looking at everything. What's going on here?
Look at all those cars. Look, a whole herd of cars. Not just one or two cars, a whole herd of cars.
Yeah.
Oh. Mommy, look, there's a whole herd of cars over there.
Mommy, they keep coming, Mommy. You notice there's no male at all. It's all female. And baby.
The one right behind us, crossing the street now. And in front of us.
One behind us? Where? Where?
Behind us. Behind us.
Oh, yeah. very beautiful. They're eating the grass, huh?
Yeah.
They're not, they're vegetarian,
They're
vegetarian, right?
herbivores.
Huh?
Herbivores.
Herbivores, they're not common.
See some of the big ones you're looking at.
What the hell going on there? They call each other, say, hey, come out. Hey, look, there's a bird, a car. It would be interesting if they all come out to the area and they all sit down and stare. The dinner time here, come out and have dinner. Family
Say
dinner.
hello to this one.
Hello. Hi. Hey, how are you? Hello. Oh, just go and eat, honey. Go eat. It's dinner time for them, you guys.
That was a bunch of fun.
Well, cheers. It's a good day.
Cheers.
So tomorrow gonna be another good day, huh?
Okay.